Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for joining. On behalf of the GBC Strategic Planning Team, I, Madana Gopal Das, would like to welcome you and also wish all of our viewers and all the devotees joining a happy Diwali and a wonderful Govardhan Puja celebration. As we celebrate all over the world, we're reminded of the light of knowledge that Srila Prabhupada has given and lit up the whole world. And so we can remind ourselves that just as Srila Prabhupada was like the big sun in the sky that illuminated the whole planet, he's not gone because we are his representatives. And maybe we may not be as big and bright as the sun, but we could offer ourselves as a little lamp, as a little diya, so that we can illuminate our little corner of the world and spread this light of joy and knowledge and give Krishna consciousness to others. So let us remind ourselves as we light these lamps and offer them to Lord Damodar that we too have the responsibility of representing Srila Prabhupada and sharing whatever little light that we have absorbed with others so that they too may enjoy the bliss of Krishna consciousness and come out of the ignorance of darkness. Hare Krishna. So today, we will be talking about Harer Nam Eva Kevalam, the very famous verse that we find in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So I'm just going to share my screen here real quick. Okay, so in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see that when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Prakashananda Saraswati, they had the conversation that's very famous. And in that conversation, Mahaprabhu explains the glories of the holy name. And that's where this verse comes in. Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalau Nastyeva Nastyeva, Nastyeva Gatiranyatha. For spiritual progress in this age of Kali, there is no alternative. There is no alternative. There is no alternative to the holy name. The holy name, the holy name of the Lord. So it's emphasized 3 times. Why is it emphasized 3 times? Actually, we get a clue in the purport. And Srila Prabhupada explains how in the previous yugas, it was possible to gain self-realization through the processes of meditation for very long times, thousands of years, and then through the process of fire sacrifice, large, opulent fire yajnas, and through the process of elaborate and grand deity worship. So those are the previous yugas. But in this yuga, the process of chanting of the holy name is the only one that works because of the limitations imposed upon us by this yuga. So the 3 times emphasis, there's no other way, no other way, no other way, is really to negate the idea that, hey, maybe the other process can work too. I'm just going to focus on meditation because that's a process. Or I'll do very elaborate fire sacrifice, or I'll do fantastic deity worship, and that should be enough. But here he's negating those 3, that those 3 are not in and of themselves sufficient in this age of Kali. So there's no other way, it's no meditation, no other way, not fire sacrifice, no other way, not just deity worship by itself. It's not possible. The only way is the holy name, the holy name, the holy name of the Lord. Harer Nam, Harer Nam, Harer Nam, Eva Kevalam. So this is nothing new for those of us who are in ISKCON. Yes, I understand. Yes, the emphasis on the holy name is there. And we're supposed to chant Hare Krishna. So the Mahamantra is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is the Mahamantra that Srila Prabhupada taught us. This is a mantra that Lord Chaitanya sang throughout the world. And this is the mantra that we make an attempt to chant deeply and purely in our lives and in our practice. So Srila Prabhupada gave this very famous talk. This transcendental vibration, by chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the sublime method for reviving our Krishna consciousness. As living spiritual souls, we are all originally Krishna conscious entities. But due to our association with matter, from time immemorial, our consciousness is now polluted by material atmosphere. Krishna consciousness is not an artificial imposition on the mind. This consciousness is the original energy of the living entity. Note the choice of words. Srila Prabhupada is not he never uses the wrong word. The original energy of the living entity. When we hear the transcendental vibration, this consciousness is revived. That means right now it's dormant. And the process is recommended by authorities for this age. By practical experience also, we can perceive that by chanting this Mahamantra or the great chant for deliverance, one can at once feel transcendental ecstasy from the spiritual stratum. So he's reminding us that the authorities have told us this is the process. Authorities meaning all our scriptures. Srila Prabhupada himself, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the Supreme Lord himself, he came to not just teach it, but to show it. So that's, okay, we accept him on authority. But he gives the additional proof. What is additional proof Prabhupada gives? That we can feel practically, by experience, the transcendental ecstasy. When we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, there is an undeniable sense of happiness, if we're open to receiving it, that we cannot compare with anything else. That is coming from a spiritual stratum. Stratum means a spiritual layer of existence. So, the holy name is chanted in different ways. One way Srila Prabhupada showed us is Sankirtan Yajna, where we get together and play musical instruments sometimes, we clap our hands, we dance with joy, and we sing out the holy name of the Lord very loud, with a lot of joy. And this way, everyone around us can hear, take part, and get swept up in the ecstatic nectar. This is Sankirtan. Srila Prabhupada himself came and embodied this, and he was basically repeating the formula of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who did this. And then another way that we chant the holy name is japa. Japa is where we use these beads, these tulsi beads, and we meditate deeply on the holy name. We chant it with our mouth, at least loud enough that we can hear it clearly. We chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This method is also given to us by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and brought to us to the whole world by Srila Prabhupada himself. Now, Srila Prabhupada made a statement, something along the lines of that 90% of our spiritual progress, or a large percent of our growth in spiritual life, depends upon this one instruction of daily chanting our japa while trying to avoid offenses. That's very important. We want to chant Hare Krishna, but we want to come to a stage of chanting where we're no longer committing offenses to the holy name. And that is when we are moving substantially forward in our spiritual growth and we develop strong love for the holy name of the Lord. So the solution is actually very simple. The solution is you chant Hare Krishna, give it your full attention, and everything else will happen. But remember the one point that Krishna speaks in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham. He says, to the degree someone surrenders, as they surrender to me, I reward accordingly. So when we chant Hare Krishna, everyone's quality and intensity and level of love and purity will not be the same. There will be those who are doing much, much better than us. There are those who are completely focused, completely open their heart to Krishna, giving their whole selves to the Lord when they chant Hare Krishna. There is a quality of feeling in the utterance when we chant Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada mentions this in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the purport to the prayers of Queen Kunti, where he says that, yes, anyone may chant, but there is a quality to this utterance. And if someone was completely devoted to Krishna and completely dependent on him, that person's quality will be different than someone who is not so attached to Krishna. So our aim as devotees is to make substantial and quick progress using this methodology of chanting Hare Krishna and coming to a much, much higher level within this lifetime, as far as possible within our strength and energy. So that's why Krishna tells us, to the degree you surrender to me, to that degree I'll reward. The reward is what? Reward is more purity, more attraction, more ecstasy, more devotion, more understanding of who Krishna is, and a clear vision of our relationship with Krishna. It gets more uncovered, and we become more of who we actually are at the core. So the process of chanting Hare Krishna is very powerful, and it is incumbent upon all of us as practicing devotees to take full advantage of this process and to make all possible accommodations and attempts and efforts from our side to show the Lord that, yes, no, I want you, my Lord. I am addicted to so many aspects of the material world, but I want you, my Lord. I want to chant your name the way you want me to be. We can only show that by serving. How? We have to show him different ways. So let us discuss a little bit more of how this is possible. The question we have to ask is, how dedicated am I to chant? So now we know that in the chanting of the holy name, there are 10 offenses. So every morning we recite them in the temple, the 10 offenses against chanting the holy name that should be very carefully avoided to get the full benefit. Like we don't blaspheme devotees who dedicated their life and so on. You don't commit sins on the strength of chanting. There's 10 such offenses. Now in the Harinam Chintamani, Haridas Thakur says, even if one successfully overcomes all the other offenses in chanting, even if you overcome all 10 offenses, and one is chanting continuously, love of God may not come. One should know that the reason for that is that one is committing the offense known as pramada, or inattention. That's the key point. You may be avoiding those other 10 offenses, a lot of effort. But this pramada is not listed in the 10 offenses. And yet, Haridas Thakur says this is very important. It's very important to avoid pramada, inattention. So it is difficult to avoid all the 10 offenses, but easier to focus on the root of the other offenses, inattention. So actually, inattention is the root of all the 10 offenses. So if you're trying to remove a weed, if you just remove one leaf, two leaves, maybe the flower that came out of the weed, but the root is still there, the weed will continue bothering us. So best to focus on the root, attack the root, remove the root. We are in the habit of being inattentive. Imagine if I go to someone's house and they tell me to sit down, have a seat, and then they don't give me any attention at all. They've invited me to the house. They sent me an invitation. You please come at this time. I come. They don't even look at me. They don't talk to me. They give me a place to sit. And they say, okay, just sit here for 2 hours. I'm just sitting there looking at the walls. But then they go about doing anything else. They don't talk to me. They just do their own thing. That doesn't make me feel very happy. Why did you even invite me if you're going to not pay any attention to me? So that is a kind of root of the offense. Similarly, we invite the holy name. Yes, I'm going to chant Krishna. You are the holy name. I'm going to chant Hare Krishna. But then I'm doing so many other things. I give no attention to the holy name. That is the root of all offenses. So how to give full attention? So generally, we give attention to what we love. If we love playing cards, we'll give attention to that. If we love watching some sports, we'll give attention to that. If some people love following some movie stars, they give attention to that. If we love a specific kind of music style, we give attention to that. What we love, we'll give our full attention to. But then the question is, what if we don't yet have love for Krishna? I don't have love of God. How can I give attention to something I don't love? So what we can do is we can do things that show that we are genuinely interested in developing this love. We recognize that in our heart we have the root, we have the love of God. It's deep there. It's covered. So at least we can show some interest in the project of uncovering the love of Godhead that is in our heart. So I don't have love yet, it's not manifested, but at least I can develop interest in opening up this love. So here we see this is the temple in South India, Ranganath Temple, and it is very interesting. I'm giving this as an analogy. It is very interesting to see how this temple works. Now, if you look around, it looks like there are many, many temples. Let me just see. Yeah. So it looks like there are many temples here, all these different gopurams they're called. But actually, there's only one temple. It's right there in the middle. So what are all these different things? These are actually gates. And if you see, there's a big wall, outer wall. And to enter the wall, you have to go through this gopuram. It's like a gate. And then when you go inside, you think, it looks like a temple. You think that's the temple, but it's not a temple. Then you go through, then you see there's another wall. And there's another gate. So you have to walk through that gate. And then there's another wall. And then you walk through that gate. And so on. So let's go back over here. So basically, similar to these 4 gates, there are 4 gates to successful japa. Okay? So we have to go through these different 4 gates to reach the center core. All right? So the first gate of successful japa is called fundamentals, is the external things that we do. What are the fundamentals? Posture. So now suppose I've decided I'm going to chant japa very nicely. So when I chant japa, it's important for me to sit up straight. But one may think, well, the main thing is the chanting, right? There's no hard and fast rules. There's no hard and fast rule. Why are you telling me to sit up straight? I can sit like this, relaxed. I can sit with a lot of nice cushions, soft, sit back like this on a nice sofa. Then the whole body is fully relaxed and I can focus on the holy name. You know, but, or I can stretch my legs out like that. However, if anybody has heard the tape of Srila Prabhupada chanting japa, Srila Prabhupada, he interrupts his own chanting to give a very important instruction. He does that 2 times in that recording. And what is that instruction? He says, sit properly. Sit properly. That means to chant japa, to get the best benefit out of japa, it is important to sit properly. Posture has a very strong and powerful effect on our consciousness. It does. There was once a man who was very depressed and sad. So he was always like down like this. His body is bent over. He was walking around with his shoulders down, face looking down, just feeling, I'm so depressed. I'm so depressed. I'm so down. So he went to the doctor once. He went to the psychologist. He said, doctor, look, I've been like this for like months and months. I'm just so down and depressed. I don't even know what to do about it. I don't even know the reason why I'm sad anymore. And so what the doctor did, the doctor also put his head down like this and made a sad face. For a full 2 minutes, the doctor did like that. He didn't say anything. Then he looked up and said, it works, it works. And the patient is like, what do you mean it works? Doctor said, even now even I am feeling depressed. Just keeping a posture like that has made me depressed. So sometimes we think our posture is a reflection of how we feel. But the inverse is also true. If we work on our posture, the posture will make us feel what is in alignment with that particular posture. So if I sit up straight, it will give me a sense of focus automatically, even though I may not be used to focusing. I may not be used to sitting up straight. So if we sit up straight, not too stiff that it's become tiresome and locking our bodies, but sit up straight comfortably. So the spine is straight up. And you can do this whether sitting on a chair or sitting cross-legged on the floor, whatever works for you. But what's important is to keep the spine straight. This makes the energy flow better. This makes our focus stronger. This even shows that I'm paying attention to the person that I'm talking to. You know, when we're talking to someone and we really want to open our heart to them, we look at them face to face, look in the eyes, squarely open our shoulder like this, you know. So if we open our shoulders a little bit, pull out the chest a little bit, and keep our neck and spine in one straight line, comfortably, just like a shirt hanging on a hanger. You know, it sits comfortably, but at the same time, it's straight. This is very important, and Prabhupada reminds us of how important this is. That is the first fundamental instruction. It shows that, yes, I'm interested in improving my consciousness, my attention. And immediately we'll feel feedback from our own heart. This is wonderful. I should have done this from before. Okay, so sit properly is very important. Now, sometimes we may not be very fit to sit properly. That happens. So then we can do some simple stretches and exercises, very simple, not too crazy, but just to keep our body fit. And if we're not used to moving our body, it's good to start walking a little bit as well. Srila Prabhupada taught by his example. He would walk every day. It became his regular principle. So whenever possible, he would walk. So we should also go out and walk a little bit. That helps loosen up our bodies if we're not used to doing that. Maybe stretch a little bit of our neck for just 2-3 minutes. And then we can sit longer, more straight without too much pain. So we should make some investment in our health in a sattvic way, in an authorized way. We don't need to become weight training bodybuilders, but it does help to do some movement of the body. That's an investment in our health that will pay off in our attention and focus when we sit properly. So that's important. So what is the next fundamental? Rising early. This Brahma Muhurta time is glorified in the scriptures. Srila Prabhupada insisted that we all rise up early, much earlier than the sunrise, and take advantage of the most sattvic time of the day, the most mode of goodness time of the day, where there's a lot of peace around and our body is rested nicely. Hopefully, if rested nicely. How to do that? How to rise early? You sleep early. So if we take rest early, then we can rise early. If we keep a peaceful mind in general, we can sleep better, we can sleep deeper, and it'll make it easier to rise early. But if you make it a habit to rise early, it'll pay off in increased focus. And that is another way to show the Lord that, yes, even though it's a little bit painful in the beginning, it is important for me to show you that I am interested in developing love of God. That's how we show. That's how we develop love. First, we show interest, and the Lord helps us if we show some interest. That's how the Lord empowers. So sit properly, rise early, take a shower, and chant. So when we chant, another important point is clear pronunciation. Pronunciation must be clear. We don't want to slur the speech. Srila Prabhupada also always make fun of devotees who aren't chanting clearly. He would imitate them. What are you chanting? Nish, 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 nam, 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 nam. It sounds a little bit like Hare Krishna Maha Mantra from a distance, but actually we're not chanting if we are not clearly saying every one of the 16 names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. 32 syllables, 16 names. Make sure they're all coming out in the proper order with clarity. Okay, so we're sitting properly, waking up early to be strong and fresh, and we're pronouncing clearly. Then the environment that we're in, make sure that we create a sacred space. You know, sometimes some devotees have a little corner in their home where they have a little altar. Maybe a whole room is there, but sometimes a corner is there with a little altar with either small deities or picture of the Lord, or any clean, quiet space where you will not be disturbed. Sometimes if it means going out somewhere, that's also fine, but make sure the space is conducive to chanting deeply. You can chant anywhere. Remember, there are no hard and fast rules, but it is a fact that certain spaces are more conducive to chanting than others. If I'm studying for an exam, for example, for a big exam coming up, I could study in a library where it's nice and quiet, or I could study in the middle of a rock concert where people are making noise. I mean, if I'm focused, I can study in a rock concert also, just completely ignore all that noise that's happening and just read my book. But which one is more conducive for success? Why unnecessarily put myself in an area which is not going to help? So similarly, when I'm chanting japa, let me sit in a place free from distractions, where there's no phones ringing, there is no TV going on the side, there's no rock music playing in the background, there's no neighbors yapping. Sometimes we cannot control it, but if we can, always let us make sure that we find the right space, make sure it's clean, quiet, and you get some air so it's conducive to sitting properly. And generally, when you rise early, there's nobody else making too much noise anyway. That's a good time. Okay, so sit properly, rise early, pronounce the name clearly, and make sure that the environment, the space that we're using, gives us enough clarity of thought, sacredness, as they say. Okay. So now this is an extra tip that I found incredibly useful. So we can get a cushion, especially if you're sitting on the floor. You can get a cushion which is a little bit firm. It's a firm cushion and gives your hips extra height, and you sit on the edge of the cushion. This, what happens, allows the pelvic plane to tilt a little bit forward, and this helps us maintain the spine in its natural, curvature. So then we can actually sit up straight, and the spine is a natural curvature. It supports itself, and it's quite amazing. Before I discovered this sitting on the edge of a cushion, I had a hard time sitting for more than half an hour, just because it was just not comfortable. But once I started this methodology, I could sit for 3 hours in one place without moving. It's not a problem, without any pain. It's just a matter of posture. And a lot of meditators and yogis do use this method. So you don't like a cushion or pillow, or it doesn't matter what it is, just something that helps you to tilt slightly forward. And you'll be amazed how much the spine will thank you for that. So this is one small practical tip that I found incredibly useful. It may work for you or not. And you can use it on a chair as well if you don't sit cross-legged. But the main thing is find some way to sit straight, sit properly. So now we can try, all of us, those of us who are joined here, we can try sitting up straight, whether we're on the floor. Even if you're standing, that's fine. Sit on a chair, and we can try chanting and see if it helps. So now we are going to sit properly. We're going to pronounce the names correctly and try to hear as clearly as possible. So we can do Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The Lord's names are not different from the Lord himself. Therefore, we feel immediately some peace, some bliss, some cleansing, some purification, and even some ecstasy when we chant the holy name of the Lord. We may not even know the meaning of the mantra. The mantra is so powerful. So the summary is the gates. Gate 1 is sit properly, rise early, pronounce clearly, and make environment sacred space. Now, that is just the first gate. The second gate is the mind. It's a very big one. Sometimes we focus so much on how difficult the mind is to control. Right? Krishna says, mind can be a friend or it can be your worst enemy. We tend to focus on the enemy part. We think mind is my enemy. How can I get rid of it? But we forget that the mind is also our best friend if we use the mind properly. We cannot get rid of the mind. We have to leverage the friend component of the mind. And Arjuna says, Chanchalahi mana Krishna pramati balavatridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayureva sudushkaram. It's more difficult to control the mind than to control the raging wind. Vayureva sudushkaram. Krishna doesn't say, no, Arjuna, you're wrong. That's not true. Krishna agrees with Arjuna. He says, you're right, Arjuna. Mind is difficult to control, but it is possible with proper practice and detachment. Abhyasa and Vairagya. So, how do we control the mind? So, we have to recognize that Krishna consciousness is a culture of absorption of the mind, of our consciousness in the holy name. Okay? And the nature of the mind is it's like a sponge. It gets absorbed very easily in one thing or another. So remember, mind is best friend and worst enemy. Worst enemy when it's distracted, best friend when it's used properly. So let's do one practice test. First, we should recognize that we can control the mind. We should not give up and say it's impossible, forget it. It is possible to control the mind. So now, if you can meditate with me, this is just a practical practice test to see if mind can be controlled. So let's close our eyes and imagine that now it is evening time, maybe afternoon, and I am in my kitchen, so in the kitchen of the house, and in the kitchen there is a refrigerator there. So I'm walking to the refrigerator, opening the refrigerator door. As soon as I open, that light turns on. Then inside there's a carton of juice. I take out the juice, bring out a glass from the cabinet, pour some juice into the glass, close the carton back again, put it back in the fridge, close the fridge, and now the glass of juice is in front of me, ready to drink. And let's open our eyes again, come back. Now, how many of us actually saw the juice? Most of the people who I do this exercise with, they can easily see the juice. They saw the juice, they saw the fridge, they saw the kitchen, they had the whole experience. And that shows that we are able to control the mind. If we're interested in juice, that's probably another reason. There's some taste there. But it is possible to control the mind. It's not that difficult. So sometimes we tend to focus on the negative aspect of it. Let us focus on the positive aspect. Let us control it. So let us first understand that it's possible to control the mind. and not that difficult if we just use it in the right way. This way, the mind becomes our best friend. So now, what shall we do with the mind that we're able to control? Main thing is, just before we chant, we have to reflect and recognize the transcendental nature of the holy name. The nature of the holy name. We must remind ourselves, right? The word remind has the word mind in it. We remind ourselves that this is Krishna. This holy name is Krishna. Krishna is so strong and powerful. He has all kinds of energies and potencies, every kind. And he has invested all his potencies into the holy name. Nam Namakari Bahudha Nija Sarva Shaktis. All his potencies, not he's missing one or two. All of them, Sarva Shaktis are there in the holy name. So I'm inviting the name into my body, into my heart, onto my tongue, into my throat. This is Krishna reverberating in this room. Krishna's personal presence and every energy of the Lord, including his form, his name, his entourage, his dham, everything. These are energies of the Lord are present when the holy name of the Lord is being chanted. So we use our mind to remind ourselves of the presence of Krishna, that here is Krishna. I am chanting and he's here with me. And once we create that mood in the mind, then the mind will then also enjoy the bliss of the presence of the Lord. And that environment gets set not just a sacred space outside, but a sacred space within. That is how we create the right mood, leveraging the friendship of our mind. If we put Krishna on every level of our mind, there's no room for other nonsense, other distractions. This does take practice. It's not an easy thing, but it is something that is doable, something we can practice again and again and again until it gets easier and easier. Then another thing we can do with the mind is create our intention. What am I doing this for, this japa? Is it for my pleasure? Our pleasure will be a side effect naturally. When Krishna comes in our life becomes pleasurable anyway. But it is not the reason that we're chanting japa. We are chanting japa as an offering to the Lord. My Lord, this effort of mine, this is for your pleasure. This is for you. Just like we make an offering of flowers or some fruits or some nice bhoga. My Lord, this japa is for you. So we remind ourselves that this is something that we're offering to the Lord. So it's like going to the temple. When we go to the temple for darshan, we look at the beautiful deities, how beautifully they're dressed, how gorgeous Krishna smiles, how merciful is Srimati Radharani, how lovely and wonderful Srila Prabhupada. We take darshan of the deities. Once there was an old blind man, and he used to go every single day for darshan to the deities. And he would offer obeisances like this. And every morning and evening he would go. Now there's a young boy, he asked the old blind man, Babaji, how is it that you come for darshan every day? You are blind. I don't want to offend you, but it's clear that you don't see, and yet you come for darshan. And Babaji says, look, I may be blind, but the Lord is not blind. The Lord sees me. I am coming here to make myself an offering to the Lord. Lord, I'm here for you. Like that. Darshan is a two-way street. Similarly, when we do japa, Krishna is present. So then we can create the mood that my Lord, in our mind, we create the mood, reminding ourselves, I am here for you, my Lord. You please engage me in your service. I am doing this for you, my Lord, for your pleasure. You are the one, not me. This offering is for you. In the ahutis, when we do the yagya, if you hear some of the mantras that the purohits are doing, this says, na mama, na mama. Na mama means this is not for me, this is for you. So this japa yagya, Krishna says, of all the yagyas, japa is the best yagya. He says that. Yagyanam japosmi. of all the yagyas, I am japa. He says, I am that japa. So when we do that yagya of japa, we say, no, mama, this is not for me, my Lord, it is for you. So we remind ourselves, this is for the pleasure of the Lord. The name is the Lord himself. And then it makes the whole atmosphere very positive. Then when the room of the mind has been set, then we enter in, then we chant the full attention to the sound. That is the way to engage and control the mind. The third gate, remember there are 4 gates, we're still on gate number 3. The third gate is the heart, the feelings, the emotions. We are emotional beings. Okay? So we need to chant with some feeling. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj, he says that the name is heart deep, not lip deep. So when we chant, we have to engage in feeling. Because it's not just alphabet, it's not just the letters. It is the feeling that comes with it. Namakkar bahar hoy, nama nahi hoy. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in Bengali that this akshar, these letters of the name, they're not the name. The name comes from the heart when we chant with an utterance of feeling. And Vrindavan Das Thakur in Chaitanya Bhagavad says, Bhakti means crying while remembering Krishna's name. You cannot cry if there's no feeling. Right? So this is the definition of Bhakti. When we cry while remembering Krishna's names. That is Bhakti. When we're doing japa, am I doing this? If not, I better be. At least I should cry that I'm not able to cry. Somehow get the heart involved. Don't let the heart be somewhere else, on the soccer field or cricket field or Bollywood. No, the heart needs to be crying for Krishna or crying for the inability that we are not able to cry for Krishna. That feeling must be there. In the Adi Purana, Krishna says, I am purchased by one who sings my name and cries before me, not by anyone else. The Lord himself guarantees this. You want to buy me? Price is very high. What is the price? Sing my name and cry before me. If you sing my name and cry before me, I am yours. Krishna promises in Adi Purana. So this whole thing about crying and heart deep, which means that the expectation is that there's a feeling, a flow of love, a flow of attraction, or even a feeling of missing the Lord, or a feeling of inadequacy. My Lord, I'm so fallen, but somehow I'm here by the grace of Srila Prabhupada. I've got this system of chanting Hare Krishna. Please allow me to enter into this system. Allow me to enter into the circle of devotees who are doing this properly. Please help me out, my Lord. Then we can cry from that angle too. So, it may not be possible to cross over a big body of water, but there are intermediate steps like these stepping stones. So reaching love of Godhead is very big project. Love of God is very far for those of us who condition materially. But there are more accessible stepping stones that are not love of Godhead, but they will take us to love of Godhead. What is one of them? Gratitude. I may not be a pure devotee, but I can at least thank the pure devotees who have given me the process. I can thank Srila Prabhupada. I can thank the other progressive devotees who are helping me out. I can thank the Lord for bringing me to Krishna consciousness. So we express appreciation through our prayers. This is not 100% love. It may not be, but it is a stepping stone to love. Gratitude is easy to get to. Love may not be. Appreciation easy to do. Genuine appreciation. Love is not quite there yet. But we can stepstone our way to love. Remorse is another way. Remorse is very powerful. We read Narottam Das Thakur's bhajans, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's bhajans. I wasted my life. Hari Hari Bifale Janama Govayu. This is remorse. My Lord, I'm so sorry. Not only I wasted my life, I continue being addicted to things that are opposite to what you want. I'm sorry. That remorse brings tears in our eyes, and it's very powerful. It washes away our sins, it cleanses our soul. And through more genuine and intense remorse, we can engage the heart and purify our process. So we have gratitude, appreciation, and remorse. And at the end of the stepping stones, we'll find that Radha Krishna waiting for us. These are different ways to engage the heart. It's an attitude. I always say gratitude is the attitude. If you can't remember that, remember Gita. G-I-T-A. Gratitude is the attitude. Okay? So you can develop these things very quickly. Love may take a longer time. But love builds upon these emotions. Now, this doesn't mean we're acting, okay? This is genuine, sincere gratitude, appreciation, and remorse. So what are the 4 gates? The 4 fundamentals we talked about. Fundamentals means sit properly, sacred space, waking up early, chant clearly, that we can hear, okay? Second is the mind, engage the mind in understanding the meaning of the mantra, that the Lord is the holy name himself, and so on. The mind is our best friend if we use it correctly. And then the heart, engage our proper feelings, making sure they're directed to the Lord in a progressive and loving way, expressed to appreciation, gratitude, and remorse properly. So these are the 3 gates we've crossed so far. Now suppose we invest fully in all these 3 gates, completely aligned, and you practice Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, fully aligning these gates every single day. These 3 gates. There is a 4th gate. The 4th gate has a handle on the other side. We don't have a handle to it. These other gates we can control. But the 4th gate is called mercy. That one, the handle is on the other side of the gate. And that gate is controlled by the Supreme Lord himself. In fact, Srimati Radharani controls that handle. So what can we do about that mercy? Nothing. We cannot do anything about that gate, except we have to just reach that gate. To reach that gate, we must go through the first 3 gates. We can't go there straight. We should not expect the mercy of the Lord unless we show that we're interested in receiving the mercy. How do we show we're interested? By doing these 3 other things. Fundamentals, apply the mind, apply the heart. If we show the Lord that we have done everything within our power to touch his lotus feet and serve him in the holy name, then the Lord will open the gate of mercy on the other side. Srimati Radharani will open the gate of mercy. They will. They promise this. Krishna says, right? I am purchased, but it's not a small price. Just the fundamentals are difficult enough. We have to do so many things to get the fundamentals right. We align our lives completely. We give up all the sinful activities. We give up association of people who we thought were our friends, but they're bringing us down, engaging in sinful activities. Then we engage in service of the Lord in different ways. We read, we study, we chant, we improve our lives in so many different ways. That's just fundamentals. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to show the Lord, my Lord, I am interested in you. I want to give you my attention. If we do all this, we'll find that when you reach the 4th gate, the gate is already open. And that is how the mercy of the Lord operates. Now, the Lord is looking for ways to give us mercy, but he will never force us to take the mercy. So then we show our interest by aligning the other gates, and this way we can become successful. So remember, Krishna says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam satheva bhajamyaham. So to the degree they surrender, as they surrender to me, I reward accordingly. Okay? So then the question again, how dedicated am I to chant Hare Krishna? So remember that in surrender to the Lord, there are 6 principles of surrender. So these are 6 principles, means giving up, acceptance of things favorable to the devotional service, rejection of unfavorable things, conviction that Krishna will give me protection, accepting the Lord as one's guardian or master, and fully surrender to the Lord. And of course, humility. Among these, the Anukulyasya Sankalpa, the first one, accepting things favorable to devotional service, this shows we're surrendering. This is the first one listed. So when we accept all these guidelines that Srila Prabhupada has given us and the Acharyas have given us, we accept them and apply them in our lives. That is the first step of surrender. And when we surrender to Krishna, this is found in the purport of Sarva Dharman Paritijya verse. It says, Mam ekam sharan vacha. Aham tam sarva babebhyo mokshe shami ma shucha. That ma shucha, don't worry, Krishna says. That can only come when we doing Sarva Dharman Paritijya. And we're doing Mam ekam sharanam vraja. Where sharanam means we're surrendering to the Lord. And surrender means these 6 items. Let us do the first one at least fully. Taking up everything favorable and chant japa clearly. Okay, so Lord reciprocates as we surrender. 4 gates we discussed of successful japa: fundamentals, the mind, the heart, and the mercy of the Lord. And of course, the Lord is supremely merciful. And I'll end with this verse. The Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Leela. This is a very beautiful verse. I encourage everyone to read it again and again. Tunde tandavini ratim vitanute tundavali labdhaye karna kroda kadambini ghatayate karnarbudebhya spriham chetah prangana sangini vijayate sarvendriyanam kritim no jane janita kiyat piramritai krishneti varnadvaye. I do not know how much nectar the 2 syllables Krishna have produced. When the holy name of Krishna is chanted, it appears to dance within the mouth. We then desire many, many mouths. When that name enters the holes of the ears, we desire many millions of ears. And when the holy name dances in the courtyard of the heart, it conquers the activities of the mind, and therefore all the senses become inert. So beautiful. This is Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela, chapter 1, verse 99. Very good verse, very beautifully glorifies how much nectar is there in the holy name. And Mahaprabhu came to teach us this, to join him in this ocean as he swims and dances in this ocean of nectar. Why should we deny this just because we are silly attachments, our silly attachments to inattention? Let us take advantage. We don't know how long we're going to live. Let's take every advantage of this human form of life and chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So thank you all very much for joining, and appreciate your time. If anyone has any questions or comments, we can take them now, or we can end early. That's fine. All right, so there's quite a few devotees who have joined on Facebook, on the GBC Strategic Planning channel. So if anybody wants to understand, the GBC Strategic Planning team is a team of devotees who are dedicated to improving all the offerings that ISKCON gives to the world, planning for long-term growth and taking care of the devotees, encouraging everyone in the world to take up this process of Krishna consciousness as taught by Srila Prabhupada, and as encased within the institution of ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. This is the goal of ISKCON, to give Krishna consciousness to all others, and thereby pleasing Srila Prabhupada, pleasing the Supreme Lord, and spreading peace, harmony, and love all over the world, and raise the quality of life for everyone all around. Hare Krishna.